Greetings, this is Tai Brown and welcome to Athletic Director U. We're here at the 2024 PACNet Conference. I am joined by Phil Wang. Phil is the Senior Associate Athletics Director for External Affairs at UC Irvine. Greetings, Phil. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, Phil, 18 years.
Yeah.
UC Irvine, right?
Right.
Been there for a while. Irvine is one of those schools where, you know, from the outside looking in, you're like, man, the college athletics is crazy. And you got the range of resources is crazy. And but you start thinking about, okay, so a school that exists in the resources they have and tries to make the best that they have, like, can't they make that work? But then they're still competing for student athletes. So, you know, you got to make it look attracted to the student athlete. And then you got to make sure, especially in Southern California, you get the people in the city. Like, there's a whole bunch of things you have to consider. So talk to me a little bit about the mindset at a UC Irvine, 18 years in terms of what you're trying to accomplish and what have you.
So things move a little slowly. I actually started my career at UCLA. So I've seen collegiate athletics at the highest level. Coming to UC Irvine, trying to build that kind of tradition and history similar to UCLA. UC Irvine's a younger school, so it's still relatively new to the D1 kind of phase, but we've had a lot of successes already. But the differences in what you mentioned, resources, is significant. And that's the challenging part for us. We don't have football, so we rely on a lot of other things to help us keep us relevant in the space. And funding is number one, right? I started my career working in the finance department. I started at the ticket office at UCLA, worked my way up to the finance department and the athletics department there. Was hired as the associate athletic director for business and finance at UC Irvine, so their CFO, and quickly realized, though, that we had to make some budget cuts. That was one of the reasons I was hired, to get our budget flush, but that I was quickly the no guy. No, we can't do this. We don't have the budget for this. And really wanted to understand the external side of things on how we wanted to invest our resources to get the biggest return on our investment. So really started to focus on the external side of things, looking at bringing in additional revenue, business development opportunities. And I really started to find out that if I knew where to invest that money and to get the biggest ROI, would help us move our department forward. By me saying no all the time was not doing that.
How long into your tenure before you made that transition?
So I was doing the associate AD for business and finance. It was about 5 to 6 years. Then my AD at the time gave me the opportunity to also oversee the external side. I actually did both for a period of about 5 years, to the point where I got too much, and then I focused solely on the external side. But that was me just wanting to understand, because I felt like we needed to invest our resources in places where we needed to get the biggest ROI on. And our methods had to be more strategic. We didn't have the ability to be taking risks and throwing resources at something that just didn't return anything for us.
So there was, I imagine the department was a little smaller at the time.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. The AD's like, take this on too.
Yeah,
do both of them.
It was, but I also volunteered for it. So our associate AD for external left to be an AD, and I just saw it as an opportunity for me to grow and learn. I do not envy any athletic director right now. It's a tough position to be in. My athletic director is great. She has handled everything, tremendously, but I don't pretend to know how she is in that chair or be in her shoes. It's challenging. It is. And so when I started at Irvine, our budget was not even $12 million, running 23 sports at the time, which is now unheard of. We had to cut some programs. Our budget has grown, though, with the support of our campus, with the ability for us to generate more revenue. So we've seen us kind of advance ourselves in a way that we haven't been able to do for a very long time. So I think that's a testament to our AD and a testament to our campus being more supportive.
Yeah, interesting. One thing you mentioned there was you can't take as many risks, right?
Right.
And I imagine you said you were this no person, right, with the budget. And
Yep.
then you start working on
Yep.
external to figure out, what's out there. And then you start realizing, okay, if we're going to spend to bring money back, we have to be strategic and
Yeah.
intentional. Tell me about some of that over the last few years since you've been in this
Yeah,
role.
sure. I mean, truthfully, I mean, you mentioned we're here at PACnet, which is the Paciolan conference, and not to give them a shameless plug, but
Oh, it's not
they
shameless. I mean,
yeah, so it's one of the biggest, I think, decisions we made is to go with them. They've been tremendous in terms of supporting us. Best practices, right? They call them that for a reason.
Yeah.
They work. There was Chris Del Conde, who's the AD over at Texas, said something that during a conference once. He said, I tell my staff to be more involved in R&D, right? And I'm not talking about research and development. I'm talking about rip off and duplicate. And that's, what we have to do is say, hey, what is the Power 5 schools doing? And how can we mold that to something we're doing? But in terms of being more intentional and strategic, we don't do the traditional marketing, right? I mean, I think, we just don't have the resources to do it. I don't have the ability to go out and pay for a billboard. I don't have the ability to kind of just print flyers and kind of just put them everywhere. So we really leaned into the digital space. So our digital ad spends, we do that in terms of a way to, what do we get back from a return on ad spend? If it's 2-to-1, hey, we're making money off of it, right? If it's 1-to-1 and we're not doing it anymore, then we're breaking even. But we need to base it, and I was a math major, so it's all based on data, right? It's making data-driven decisions that we know will pan out. Because, we just can't take those risks. Sometimes we try to, and then when they fail, though, then we're digging ourselves out of a hole. I'd rather be moving forward than trying to figure out how to backfill a hole that we made for ourselves.
Which is important. You think about digital spending, and I imagine measuring the return on digital spending is how much is spent digitally back for you. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. So obviously, we're just trying to make sure that whatever we're spending there, we're getting that money back and then some in terms of what if it's a ticket sale or just, an advertising.
So that's so the question I have relative to that is, how do you know if someone shows up to a game? I guess all tickets are digital. I mean, because they may have come across this thing that
Right.
they've seen.
So they can click through the link.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how we can track them. We track their progress. And so we know that's how we got them.
But I guess the question is that the only way? If I see this, but I don't click at the moment, but I decide to show up to the game because Irvine is down the street.
Yeah.
But this is the way I saw it. There's no way to tell if that was
converted,
right?
That's the hard part, right? So we try to put links on everything we send out, so that people can have the ease and convenience of just going
Do it right now.
to a clicks and get their tickets. That's how we track them. But yeah, to your point though, if they just saw it, just decided later to go, we really can't track that. But for our fans, convenience does matter. So if we're able to kind of make it convenient for them for one click, they usually do it. So that's been beneficial for us.
What has worked best? I mean, in terms of, is it about a certain sport or is it about a certain event, some type of experience?
No, so it's so you mentioned experience, convenience.
Okay.
Is a big thing. So what we found in our community, our fan base, they will pay for convenience. So if you make it easier for them, they don't mind paying a fee or service fee.
Right.
Or they don't mind paying a little bit more as long as it's convenient for them. We've had instances where our outbound sales team will follow up with somebody on a group experience, and they're like, oh, hey, thanks for calling. I really want to come back to a game. I just haven't had time. And by you calling me, you've got me, interested in coming back to a game. So it's been making sure we're intentional, getting that data, so that we're able to kind of have some follow-ups on some warm leads or some hot leads. So
are those, well, I mean, it's not digital and it's not automatic, but it may be with Paciolan. But do you consider a call, right, the cost of the body employee who is making the call and the follow-up and in return if they got to say, do you consider that also a measurable thing for you in terms of?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I have to take that into account, so as at a department like our size, partnerships matter. So our partnerships with Paciolan, shameless plugs for their other partners, but Learfield Amplify, which is our outbound sales team. We also partner with FIVO. We do all of these partnerships because we need them. We don't have the ability to do it in-house. So those are important. So to your point, our outbound sales team, Learfield Amplify, we work really closely with them. But I also have to see what the value is of, what that partnership looks like versus what we're getting back from an ROI. And to this day, it's been a good partnership. It's been a win-win situation. So in those instances, I have to measure those as well, and to see what makes sense. And we've gone down a path before where it didn't make sense, and we had to pivot.
Would you say bringing on, and this is becoming a Pacquiao advertisement, I guess, but would you say bringing on a company like Pacquiao was because you've been there so long, right?
Yeah.
And you try, fail, got to redo this, got to be
Right.
intent. Would you say this has been a major help for you in terms of, okay, this almost frees up the conscious capital, right, for us to do other things while we have these companies that do specialized.
100%.
Yeah.
Marketing automation, all the other things that we've talked about, the partnerships that we've had through Pacquiao, which started it all, has really transformed our department for the better. It's allowed some of our staff too to say, hey, we've got these systems in place that we can utilize, these tools, right? You have to have a toolbox. And we've given them the tools to do their jobs and do it better. Before, when I got there, our marketing department said, well, what's your plan? What's your strategy? Well, we're just going to pay for the house. Well, that's not really a plan, right? And it doesn't always work. And we've had to create that value, right? When I got here, Irvine used to be, well, I can get a ticket anytime, right, to go to the game. I can get a free ticket anytime to go to the game. That's not what we wanted our brand value to be. And now we're getting people to actually pay because they know that there's value there. Pacquiao has helped us with that tremendously. And like I said, they're a true partner. They're not here to, take our money. It's like, how can we grow with you? And I think that's what we're always looking for, is partnerships that will grow with us. So
when you take a step back, you look at a line, right? A line is this. Well, thinking about it in graphical terms, a line is a series of pixels put next to each other, right?
mm-hmm.
Each pixel, look at it as a moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, the moment in time at Irvine is, 18 years, right? And so I think, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, when you zoom out and look at the line, can you see where things are trending for you? Like, what is next for you? Because this was excellent. And so do you depend on a company like a Pacquiao for the innovation, or are you always searching for other innovations that can help us to be successful there at UC?
A little bit of both,
mm-hmm.
right? We definitely lean in on our partners to show us what the best practices are, what the new technology is coming, how can they simplify our work processes, be more efficient and be more productive, right? So we lean on them, but internally, we also learn about ourselves. What can we maximize as a staff, and what can we do internally to make ourselves more useful, more productive for the programs that we're supposed to be supporting, right? So how do we be more intentional in that space? I've always said that, I try to get our teams to master the 3 C's, and that's communication, collaboration, and cooperation. But if you don't have the first C, the latter 2 don't exist. So communication is key. How do we improve our communication? In bigger athletic departments, you're often in silos, right? And we are to a degree, but those silos need to communicate with one another. When that communication fails or breaks down, or you have miscommunication, which is even worse, there's a problem. So we have to focus on making sure that we do that internally. Those are the things that we can work on because we have the toolbox to do the other things that we want them to do. So
is there for the lack of a better analogy, is there a formula or mix or balance that works best for what you've seen at Irvine in terms of ticket sales, sponsorships, donations, school input, in terms of just money coming into the department that works best for you?
So one of the C's, collaboration.
Okay.
If we don't have that, we're disjointed.
Yeah.
And again, to our fan base, it looks like, we are disjointed and it's not convenient. So if we're collaborative in those efforts, in all those units you kind of mentioned, we're stronger, and our messaging is consistent. So that goes back to the communication, to have them understand that, what story we're telling, why we need their support. That's key. So collaboration between all those entities is key, but that also starts with communication. That's what we're continuing to work on. We have a very supportive campus, but it's still an education process. We still have to educate people why we do the things we do, and have them understand that, hey, yeah, we've got a new video board up, and it's just not a plug and play. We have to do some work behind it. We have to make sure it's coordinated with all of our other run of show that we're doing, and making sure that our coaches, our student athletes, our administrators, our staff are all on the same page. That's always a continual work in progress. And so, to your point, it's collaboration is key, but communication has to be at the forefront.
Yeah, it's important. And one thing you mentioned is campus understanding the value of athletics.
100%.
I was talking to the chancellor at Wisconsin Eau Claire, D3 Wisconsin, and he talked about how retention rates in the athletics department were better than all of campus. And so what they did was the research and figure out what are the things in athletics or on these teams that are making like the black males want to stay in school from freshman year all the way through. And they took those things and now they're applying them to campus, right?
Yeah.
And so when you talk about understanding the value of athletics on, that type of thing. So I wonder about Irvine and telling that story and helping people to understand the value. Like, is that some places it's excellent, like they know, and some places it's a little bit of struggle. So 18 years, you're probably seeing some evolution of what that is.
Yes, definitely seen the evolution. When I first got to UC Irvine, I was flabbergasted about how I've seen so many students on campus wear different other college sweatshirts and didn't have that school pride, and that's what athletics can bring, right? I tell the story a lot, and our former chancellor, got to go to the White House and meet two different presidents of the United States. With all due respect to our really great academic units, it wasn't because of that. It was because of athletics. That's why they call us the front porch, right? When our basketball team made it to the tournament and won our first NC2A tournament game, my wife and I were out in the community, and she even commented, I've never seen so much UC Irvine gear everywhere.
Right.
And now when I see students on campus, they're actually wearing the college gear they're supposed to be wearing. There's that value, right? And then going back to, there has been data about, hey, when a school makes it to the tournament, goes to the Final Four, their applications go up the following year. And it gives the university the opportunity to be more selective, right? We're getting to that point. We're not there yet. I don't believe we're there yet. I think we have some work to do on that, but we're slowly getting there. And I think that the community is starting to see our value. But like I said, we're not there yet.
Not there yet, yeah. That's important. It's a constant struggle,
right?
And especially like what Chancellor Schmidt talked about, just having that research to show like, hey, we can do this on campus. We can probably solve some of the issues that people are having.
Yeah, absolutely. Our charge on our campus and the pillar that we sit in the mission statement is engagement, right? So engagement with our campus constituents, our external constituents, promoting that school and community pride in the institution that has a big footprint in our community. That's what our charge is, and that's what we feel like we need to focus on. That's the mission of our external team, but it's just not the external team. It has to be the whole staff of the department, the whole university.
Student athletes telling the story.
Student athletes as well. They're our biggest spokesperson. I always say too, they're our biggest marketers, right? Yeah. They're out there telling about their programs. So, it takes a village, and it's the challenging part is making sure we're all on the same page.
One thing what I know about UC Irvine athletics director there, she is involved in a lot, right?
She is.
And I've seen this at other campuses. The AD, when you have somebody influential like that, the campus wants you on a lot of committees, whether it be hiring committees or decisions about whatever,
right,
and these types of things. I wonder in that type of setup, the staff around her has to keep her informed for decisions that need to be made and those types of things. Tell me a little bit about that in terms of your role when you talk about external and bringing in revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. Our athletic director now, Paula Smith, she's awesome. She came up from the kind of academics compliance side. So it's my job to really inform her of what we're doing on the external side, how we're achieving the campus's mission of engagement. And for an AD, I think it's important to have a very strong senior staff, senior leadership team to keep her involved or keep them involved, because they can't be everywhere at once. And sometimes the devil is in the details, right? It's our job to make sure that, we're informing her of those potential issues, bring it to light, but also making sure that we're rectifying it and we're resolving it so she doesn't have to deal with it. Right. She knows when I'm bringing something up to her, it's something that she should think about, right? I try not to bring anything else up to her that she doesn't need to know, but sometimes it's an FYI. You don't need to do anything. I got this, but just in case.
Yeah, I don't want to surprise you too.
But we talk frequently, and I think that goes back to my comment about communication even there. We meet every week, but I pretty much talk to her every day about something. So I think it's important to have that with your athletic director, because they can't be in every place at once, and it's really hard for them.
Last question here. You mentioned one of the biggest things you saw other institutions doing that you could emulate there at Irvine was getting a partnership with a company like a Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Outside of that, have you implemented anything that you saw someone else doing, whether it be a competitor or somebody not competing with, that you felt like this would be good at Irvine and it has paid off for you?
Well, to be honest, it was, starting with Pacquiao, because we had an in-house system, literally printing tickets out of a computer. And we weren't data capturing any data. We weren't doing anything. We were just literally
send it out.
Raffle tickets, right? Here's a ticket, go in.
Oh, wow.
My experience at UCLA. So seeing that, and UCLA is a different model. They have a centralized ticket office. So learning from that and saying, hey, what we need to do, understanding that the data that we capture is important for not only the athletics department, but the arts, to go back and market to their constituents, was something that, very basic, that I took away from it.
Yeah. Everything
that we've implemented, whether it's digital marketing, outbound sales, is I've seen at other places and said, hey, that might work at our place. But it has to be, can it work? And how does the model, we might have to tweak the model a little bit for us to make it work there. So there's not one thing that, anything specific that we've taken. We've taken a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
We were at this conference. We talked to a lot of people. I was at a dinner the other night, and sparked my curiosity, like, oh, you guys are doing that? That's pretty interesting. I think I'm going to try to take that back and see how that I can implement that back on our campus. So we've taken a lot of different pieces and said, okay, that works at that school. Maybe we should try it.
Which I think is excellent. Well, Phil, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you joining us here on Athletic Director.
Yeah, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks for having me.
That was Phil Wang. Phil is the Senior Associate Athletics Director for External Affairs at UC Irvine. And of course, I am Ty Brown with Athletic Director U. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today.